Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and it is January the 5th, 2016. Now, this is duly noted under the headline, Communications. And we just came in from outside, so we also have a video, which I don't know if I put it before this or after this yet, but I was giving some more insight to clouds, or basically everything in your environment, which is energy. All energy has to communicate. So, my name is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314. So, not only is Einstein my previous life, but Abraham Lincoln as well. I have a video that I will be coming out real soon. I don't know if it'll be today, but it is so profound that profound would be an understatement. And because when I teach and I bring things about, is in one of two categories. Is I'm a scholar of this or I'm an author of this. So, it's not that I'm trying to prove or twist your arm to think that I'm Einstein or Abraham Lincoln or any other previous life that I have lived. But there's a thing called, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Meaning that if you hear my videos, it will force you into that corner is to one train of thought. How could he not be? How could he not be? So, reincarnation does exist. Now, over the man's timeline, man has put in there for many reasons. One is not to be reminded, put the element, well, people put this monogamy in their relationships. That's not the original placement of monogamy, by the way. Monogamy is in reference to evolution in time, meaning that you're still not living in the mindset and activities of something of 1948 or 1865. Is you have these tools to learn from of the past, but you are in the present, and to be careful not to bring in emotions. Say like in 1948, I was angry at, people with blonde hair. And then everyone I come across, I'll be like, blah, 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 because you got blonde hair. And say, wait a minute, but I have no reason to be angry at them, other than I'm still living in 1948. So we have to put monogamy where it's supposed to be. So, I understand because of people's evolution as to why they were putting monogamy in their relationship. So, it's like monogamy in a relationship is like handcuffs, because people's insecurity of each other, of not developing a solid relationship, they feel they have to have other tools in there as to confirm that you won't go away. And the thing is, if you establish a good, solid foundation, you never go away. I never gone away. And that's what pisses off a lot of people out there. It's like, damn, do we ever get rid of this son of a bitch? Because we're tired, and what they're tired of listening to the things I say that is, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And we run into that even today's time with people's behaviors. Is they know what I'm saying is true, but they don't want it. They don't want to hear it, because that means if they accept it, that means they have to start taking in accountability and start working, start developing themselves. They'd rather take this other side of pretending that they're in a day spa and doing the least amount of effort. Okay, so getting back to communications. So, communications is important. Okay, I just want to show you that I'm not reading from a teleprompter. So, and before we get started on this topic, if by chance you feel it in your heart that you want to donate or give a love gift back to me, you can do so at paypal.me, capital E, V-E-R-E-T-T, capital P-I-E-R-C-E. And you can do that there. Okay, communications. Now, as a president of presidents, And we're going to target or focus because the media, all the media channels are out there. On the seventh, let me give you an idea on the seventh heaven. Now, you're going to have a V8 moment. Because what I'm about to explain to you makes a lot of logical sense. Okay, I gotta take this jacket off because I'm hot as hell. And I don't mean, well, I like to be thinking sexy. I'm hot. No, actually, it is beneficial for this time around to see me at my worst. Because when we see people at their best, you say, well, damn, if that's ever at his worst, Jesus, we want to see his best. Me too. But I know in terms of building evolutional bridges, you have to establish one part. And anything above that is like, as they say, icing on the cake. Okay, in terms of the media, in problem solving, a leader of leaders, a president of presidents, what is one thing that you do not see in any media whatsoever that is a crucial element, and it relates to the blind spot? When we're driving, you say, well, that's my blind spot. Absolutely. That relates to 90-10 of energy. 90% of energy and everything around you has to follow the rules, the laws of energy. And 10% of it, that it defies the laws of energy because of various different reasons. Balance. So that's why when we look at the media, is in problem solving, you have to look at what is there that is causing the problem. You have to look at is what is there that is actually being the backbone, being the strength to it. So like, say, for example, if I have a table, and this table is on 3 legs, but it's in upright position. It hasn't flipped over. So I look at it and I look at the legs and I say, well, shoot, okay, if we take out another leg, that table is going to flip. So when we look at something, we look at where the functionality is, where the dysfunctionality is, and then we go on this side. What isn't there that should be functionality, and what isn't there that would be dysfunctionality? Now, you would say, well, what isn't there that would be dysfunctionality? Why would you want that in there? You should always be on the level of having tools available, just like being an auto mechanic. It's like, I'll just exaggerate. I need a 50 millimeter wrench. Okay. And for the most part of working on a car, I may never use it. But it's like I call the condom concept. I'd rather have a condom in my pocket and never be able to take it out to use it. I'd rather have it and not use it than need it. Like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. All of a sudden they come and they say, Everett, we're here. And you're like, oh shit, where's my condoms? Okay, anyways, hopefully you're laughing with me on that. But that's the principle behind that. Preparation, preparedness. So one of the things the media does not have, that they're not, the dysfunction in the media, is you do not have a child in there. And you say, wait a minute, a child? Well, why would we listen to a child? Okay, I was 5 years old, thinking the way I'm thinking, the way you're hearing me as of today. Now, I had a lot of things in my head, and spiritual amnesia was taken away, and everything was like a piece of puzzle. And since 5 years old, I was trying to put things together. But my basic tools of problem solving, I had them at the age of 5. Now, a child in your media is your blind spot. So if I'm 7 foot tall, and my blind spot is that I can't see down here, and your enemy learns that of you, it knows that it can destroy you if it crawls in that particular spot to get in your blind spot. And then when it strikes you, you don't have time to respond, and then you're dead. Okay. So in terms of the condom concept, you can find a child out there, male or female, very intelligent. It don't take long to talk to a child to know where its thinking is. You know, if I talk to a little girl and she's talking about Barbies, and it's obvious that she's smart, but her only interest is about Barbie dolls. Okay, that wouldn't be the right choice. But if a child, and there's been, you know, a kid, and he's talking about something that is intelligent, something that would be geared towards government and problem solving, I would have him part of my media. That's what I do in the seventh heaven. If anything, if he does nothing else, his function is to be the blind spot. And two, because there are children listening to us of all ages. And so in terms of communications, now why do I speak real fast and go real slow? And I say things fast or delay my words. Is because in terms of numbers or pausing, the people, your audience is listening to you. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everyone has a primary number that they are best at. Or it makes them say, like, if I'm operating as a number 1, I feel like 10-foot bulletproof. But if I operate at a level 2 or a number 2, and then I feel like I'm kind of just 80%. Or if I'm operating at a 9. Now, I'm a universal. I can all numbers. That is something you acquire and learn and develop into over many lives. So that's why you have a variety of your media. So not only is he or she is your blind spot, but when you have your media on and you have children, okay, and in most of the media, it's not like they're talking about derogatory stuff. I mean, it'd be one thing that it's the devil and doom and gloom and you're talking about pornography and that's what we see in the media. Okay, so what isn't in the media is that on my news media, I have a child. I have a male and a female child there. So, and we want to develop our children. That's the key element. We want to train our children. So when a child looks up to his mom or dad, they don't quite understand you. There's that lost in translation. But if next to mom was, say, Bobby, and a very intelligent Bobby, and you're not understanding dad, you're not understanding mom, but Bobby does. And you understand Bobby. So Bobby becomes the mediator between you, or the bridge between you and your mother, you and your dad. So it's just like me with my highest level of evolution. More times than not, I would have to work through President Trump, through you, because of my evolution. A lot of people run away from me, even though what I say has a lot of truth to it. A lot of people fear me. So you have to understand that as a leader of leaders, being in your presence, even though my energy could act as like kryptonite to you. And that's the problem with teachers out there. There are a lot of things that teachers do not put in that equation as to why some students fail and some students excel. As we learn with the laws of energy, is when you have certain energies together, like alcohol and volumes, they're synergistic. So as a teacher in her or his energy could be synergistic to someone's energy or bring it down or make someone struggle. They have to put 10 times the effort towards that. So that's why our teachers has to understand the multiple levels. And with the media, a media has to establish as many skill sets as possible, because the media is a tool of the president. Okay, so the media is their prime objective, not propaganda. Is, like I said, as Albert Einstein, objective and creative. Is you want to expand using objective and creative of the person's mind. People want to be entertained, okay? But you got to put the sense of logic and emotions together in a nice, constructive manner, an even manner, where they're not playing. Well, the thing is, they're always playing tug of war, but in a system of things that runs like a purring motor. Vroom, vroom. And logic always stays primary and emotions is secondary. And then the only time it comes out of that sequence is when polarity's changed. As we see with yin yang, the male and female. So what isn't in the media is that they do not have children in there. So when you have children and you say, well, because you have adults who are over 18 years old that still have a mind of a child. And it's not to be derogatory to anyone who's out there listening to me, but that is a fact. You know, you make your observation of people and you say, well, damn, he's in his 40s. And it's like he acts like a 12-year-old boy. You know, his mentality. Because people think that when you hit the age of 18, that's an adult. I'm an adult. Let's go get drunk. Well, actually, it's some states it's 21. So, there was a thing about if you're in the army and you're 18, should you be allowed to drink? Well, I think it's quite obvious. We hold these truths to be self-evident. If you're willing to die for your country, give that son of a bitch a beer. You know, so the reason why we put it to 21 is for the maturity level of our children. And if you're going to take this kid in at the age of 18, and he's going to act like an adult, he's going to behave like an adult, and you're going to train him to be an adult, give that son of a bitch a beer. Okay. Now, if he abuses it and he's trying to kill him with it, then obviously you kick him out of the military and say, boy, you're just not even ready for this. Okay. So communications. In my media, there are certain individuals that would be there. And my media would be set up just like as if you're sitting down. You're observing a camera inside our president and his cabinet. So it's like the two-factor. We have two arms. So is their objective is to document, duly noted. That's what we're talking about, duly noted, under the communications. Media is communications. But when you put propaganda in there, the word itself in relation, you had to put another synergistic word, is called quadriplegic. That means now you're paralyzed. Is propaganda means you're only focusing, what does it say? You're listening to me, but you're only looking at my ear and saying, oh no, let's just look at Everett's ear. That's what you're doing with propaganda. It's very specific, and you're trying to convince and persuade people. It's like First Amendment, the freedom of religion. That can be done in your home. In fact, belief system, that's what religion is essentially your evolutionary concepts of belief. That could be done in your head. That could be done at home. When you go out in the public and you're trying to persuade people, you're trying to bully them, oh, you're going to hell. That's misuse of freedom of religion. That's misuse of freedom of speech. You're there just why I'm this. You're not to persuade them. You're not to engage. And when you get into engage, you're no longer protected under the First Amendment right or freedom of religion. And then, like we would do with alcohol or people driving drunk, have no control of their car, we suspend your rights in the public. We're not suspending your right to believe in your religion, because everything, even our government, is a form of religion. But if you can't behave yourself in public, and you're going to strike tension between people or cultures or nations, and especially between religion, you got Christian and Islam, billions of people. Can you imagine 6 billion people now engage into a war? Start fighting each other? So that's why with alcohol, that's why they will suspend your license, because you're not illustrating what is safety. Okay, because I can drink. I can drink when I get behind the wheel, and I can keep control of that car at all times. In fact, I could flip it around I like a stuntman. But I'm an exception to the laws of energy. Okay? And you have to go with 90% of the people out there that they have not developed their skill sets of multitasking. Women are good at that, multitasking. So if you want to learn from you want to be a apprentice of multitasking, pay attention to women. Women have been for many decades and centuries untapped resources, and I do not mean sexually. So I love sex. What I like even more so than sex is the mental orgasm. It's like a minimum 10-to-1 ratio. And I like to push it even higher, to like 100-to-1 ratio or 1,000-to-1 ratio. You can if you know how to implement your cerebral, with your spirit. And it's like, the only thing bad about that is you get addicted to that kind of orgasm, you'll look at sex like it's nothing. It's like you. Okay, anyways, getting back to communication. So my media would have a child in there because all of ages, whether they're adults or not, they're going to use that child to relate to what you're talking about. So this child is talking and you'll say, oh, okay, now I can connection. And that's the problem with our president and we the people. People feel disconnected. And with Donald Trump, using tweets and Facebook, as I said at Einstein, if you don't know something in its smallest of form, you don't know enough. Obvious, if it's complex, that's quite obvious, right? So in terms of communication, a leader, president, I am going to put everything on that table. I'm going to make sure that there's no problems here of communicating between you and me. You are going to know me. You have to know me. Because if I have to make a decision that could be where people's lives are at stake, or we have to take a loss of 10,000 people for our self-preservation, you have to know what I'm thinking, and together, and then I'm just saying that as a parable, meaning that you have to know what I am and who I am and how I think. And same way with other nations. Now, there's also, in terms of honesty, there's stupid honesty and there's intelligent honesty. Someone who's developed their communications is going to be aware of, okay, I don't say that, I don't say that, okay? Because that's why we have top security. And certain sensitive information, we keep it sensitive because the reason why we have it top security is because people want to kill us. We keep it sensitive because a lot of people don't understand it. Like aliens, we see, are we the only life form? I mean, you represent less than 1% of life out there. So, and if they come forth, and like Canada did, the Prime Minister or of Defense or something came forth, and he basically in the open said, yeah, we're among other life forms. Well, it's quite obvious. So, but why is that considered top security? Because a lot of the variety of different evolutions just wouldn't understand it. Next time, you'll be thinking more about the alien than focusing of your life and your responsibilities and chores, the things that you do every single day. So that's why that's always in that neutral ground. Okay, neutral ground. People here have unalienable rights. I have the alienable rights. Means my decision, my rights trump over yours. Because I am the higher evolution in terms of understanding human behavior, protocol, system, dynamics. So that's why when we get into talking about Abraham Lincoln, which is duly noted 16A. I do have 16A out there. So in the 16B, we're going to talk about things that you're not going to read in a book. So they'll tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I am an author. I am Abraham Lincoln who lived that previous life. Because it would only make common sense as to Abraham Lincoln would be able to fill in more information of that time frame. Okay, or Albert Einstein, or anyone else that in my previous life, helping the timeline of man. So that with the media is, I would have children in there. And the thing is that with children, they're still going to school. They have family. They have mom and dad. So my media people would arrange, like, say, for example, we have to do an important, breaking news. Okay, and this child is only available from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then he has to get ready for bed and do his chores. Then you're going to have a system where in your media spokespeople can hurp and quickly shift, do that audio or video, and put it in, whether it's to accommodate that child. Okay, so, but it's important. You have to, like I was just mentioning with the president, is the American people have been dissociated, and with the media and the press and everything. So it's like the president couldn't, with Secret Service. So we feel disassociated, discombobulated, and that's why Trump is more correct to, in fact, Mr. Trump is not even doing it to the full scale of it, of what I would do. So I would use Twitter, I would Facebook. I mean, I would find as many resources, because if I'm being deceptive, if my staff member or someone is trying to inhibit or trying to take me down, like what we're going to expect with the Democrats of saving face, they're going to want to set up a situation where Donald Trump fails so they can sit back and say, see, I told you, you shouldn't have voted for Trump. Well, that would never happen with me. In fact, if you had pulled that with me, I would have it. I'm already 10 steps ahead. Always a reminder. Always a reminder. A leader, a president is at minimum 10 fingers, minimum 10 steps ahead of you. So when you move this way, you say, oh, I'll get that son of a bitch. And then, because what's in play, and you snitch yourself out, it's like, you wish you'll never done that tactic in a destructive manner. And if you do it again, eventually, over time, if you keep doing it, eventually you take out, like air out of a tire. You give them no incentive to be destructive. Saving face. They're going to get humble and say, wait a minute, okay. I had some people say, well, I ain't to a minute, but I'm with Trump. It's that humbleness. A leader, and president has to be humble. Because even though, say, I'm a 9, you got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We all are considered as a unit. So I have to humble myself. I have to be patient to the 8, the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So you have to humble yourself. You have to be patient, to be understanding. And just like a 2-year-old child having tantrum, it's frustrating. But we are seen as a unit. So you have, and what it does, it forces us to develop other skill sets that we wouldn't ordinarily develop if you're going to follow the chain of command of things, the foundation of things, the energy of things. So that's why I wanted to talk about this in terms of the media. Now, Fox, I was quite amazed. I've been looking for very specific spirits of the seventh heaven and very specific people in general of the media. And I think I spent over like a year observing CNN and then MSNBC and all the news media. And so I was quite impressed with the Fox and the talent that they got. So I don't know who's hiring those individuals, because you got Bill O'Reilly, you got Tucker Carlson, you got Hannity, you got Megyn Kelly, but she's soon to go to, I believe, NBC, and their gold of gold is Brett Baier. I mean, a high caliber general, seventh heaven. Okay, so when you rate him of the 10% exception to the laws of energy, it's not a plus sign, it's a time sign. I mean, with the exception to the laws of energy, like say, for example, you need to move that sun because it's too close and the earth is getting too hot. You would use exception to the laws of energy to move the sun. Otherwise, you're incapable. Because, and they say exception to the, it was by any science, there's no possible way you can move that sun, according to your thinking of science and rationale. And that's where the exception to the laws of energy comes in, 90-10. So, Brett Bear, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, it was like, when it finally hit me, his energy. See, one of the distinct about exception to the laws of energy, the 10%er, they are very difficult to read. Now, I can read it, but you have to be patient at key elements about them. Now, people on this planet, I don't care what nation you're in, you wouldn't be able to watch Brett Bear and say, oh, that's what Everett was talking about. You just, because first of all, you wouldn't know what to look for, and it's on so many different levels. So there's, what they say, there's a mad dog and there's a badass. So Brett Bear is a badass. And then there's, oh my God level. And I'm on that level in terms of like a general but I'm president of president, leader of all leaders, general of generals. I've been in all these positions. And I have, say, well, I'm in the top 1% of my class. I have been number 1 in my class. Because I've been able to take it just a little bit step further of accomplishment and then confirm it 3 times. And then when you hit the 7th heaven, then you're 6 times. Bang, 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 bang. So there's not a coincidence saying, well, you just got lucky. Saying, yeah, of course I didn't get lucky. I did it 6 consecutive times. So I know something. Just like the United States, we have not fallen as a nation. So that would tell you, things are not perfect, but it wasn't meant to be perfect. That there's enough things at play that keeps us afloat. And that's one of the things that other nations have high respect for us. We may only be 300 million, but in terms of what we have, it's like we are 3 trillion. So that's why the misunderstanding when it comes to nations out there and technology, where you got China, who is 1.5 billion people, even though we're only 300 million, it's like Americans is like equivalent to 300 trillion because of the capabilities of people coming here. When you want to be part of the third element, means yin yang coming together, just like a male and female coming together and having a child. That child will be considered Trinity, a third element. So a third element there's quite of a difference between third element and, so this is not to disrespect any nation out there. And that's why a lot of people want to come to America. They want to be part of this greatness, this evolutionary concept of things, of coming together, reaching higher levels. But we have to have certain protocols at hand because we don't want to sink. So when you got a lot of refugees trying to come in and you have all this discombobulation, if you just say, okay, there's no order of things, then you sink. And that's what Donald Trump has been said all along, is we have to have this order of things. You have to. So if you went around like a male and they say you're good looking, and then all the women are just literally throwing their panties. You show up and the woman goes like this, takes off her clothes. Come on, baby, let's do it. How long would it take without using condoms or some kind of, you'd have children after children after children after children, and you only have a certain amount of money, you will basically bury yourself. Because you'll have all these women with all these children, and they're going to want child support. And you couldn't make enough money. So that's why when it comes to a lot of things, we have to use a little, kind of even thinking about this. And it's like, it is not saying don't have sex. But if you can't afford 10 children, it's called a Trojan. Keep it in your freaking pocket. Now, I use that as a parable because you can take that out and put something else in its place, whether male or female or religion or whatever you are and who you are in this nation or this world, the sixth heaven. We're in this world is like containment, like Noah's Ark. So in terms of animals, that's why our political party have animals. Elephant and the donkey. As we know with Noah's Ark, animals will either come to two things. They'll either eat each other and kill each other, or they will find a way to cohabitate. That is one of the things that you're trying to learn here. But it takes on a different dimension than when you're living in the sixth heaven and you're an apprentice for leadership. Because a lot of people are struggling with their self-worth and self-esteem. You represent less than 1% of the life out there. Yeah, it's a holy shit moment. So there are a lot of these life out there that's depending on you. Get your fucking shit together. Pardon my French. Because if you like hope and faith, because you get stuck in where you're at. I mean, they're bawling their eyes out in hopes that someone, the Calvary, comes. You know, and it'll be on the level like Jesus or Muhammad or the other people coming forth. People looked up to them because they had evolutionary concepts, higher evolutional thinking that was acting as their salvation. And because the difference of their evolution, you know, they came off with this metaphorically, he's a god. Well, if I came to a caveman with my smartphone and I show him a better way and a faster way to create that fire, he will now look at me as some kind of fire god. So we have to take into account of these things. So that's why communication is an inseparable element of energy. If it's energy, it communicates. Golden rule. If it's energy, it's communicating. So, and that's the problem out there. You say those rocks out there, they're communicating. Hell yeah, they are. And you wonder why you don't have more technology than what you already have. One, first of all, you're not even considering it as a language or it communicating to you. And two, yet not only have you not been there, but you're not even trying to understand its language or the tree or the bugs or the ants or anything in this. Everything that's here is considered, I hate to use this word, superior. God forbid we think we're fucking superior. Okay. So anyways, yes, you are superior. You wanted to be here 3 times and Energy Nye accepted your application. And that's why you're here. So we really have to get our shit together and start thinking, okay, everything in your environment, start looking at is how does it have the tone of an apprenticeship who's wanting to learn to be a leader. And then when it hits you, you'll be like, holy shit, this has been in front of me the whole time and I just ever open up my mind. Yeah, there's a lot of things you've been staring at this whole time and have not seen it as such. So we'll bring this to a closure on this duly noted of communications. That everyone needs to have a spiritual awakening. You need to sit back, whether it's the media, and start looking, problem solving, and start identifying what's in there that's being functional. You know, with my media, I will deliberately have someone in there that has an element of dysfunctional. Because it's not intended to be perfect. Okay, but not in a where it's so destructive. Okay, so dysfunction, it's either destructive or constructive. So the person in my media would be dysfunctional, constructive, with just like salt, with just a dash of dysfunctional or destructive. And then when you see the system just kind of now, it's purring like a motor. And in the audience, you're connecting with your audience. So when you say things and you do it, you exercise, you practice your level of communication, then you will find a wide range of people wanting to listen to your media. You'll have the president of the United States and all nations listening to you. So like, for example, so that's why the media is a secondary tool. It's like a buffer tool. You help the president. At the same time, you're helping the people. You're a middleman. Okay? Because the president can't be everywhere. And it's like, my time, there's 7 billion people. What's the odds of me meeting 7 billion people? It makes it very difficult. So I use other resources, other tools that everyone has a fair chance of being taught by someone of a high level of evolution. So I've had many lives. I've had another life that you're all familiar with, and it was 2017 years ago. So, but as my teachings come forth, and we are presenting it, that can only come from an author, it takes you away. You just throw that box over here being an apprentice, and it puts you in that one position. I'm not here to prove anything to anyone, because I know with the human will, the way people think, and also their evolutional thinking, is I'm going to force you in that corner, and you will reach that point of saying, how could he not be? It looks like a chicken, it sounds like a chicken, it walks like a chicken, and chicken. It'd be so much, you're going to say, God damn, where'd all the chickens go? Where did they come from? And say, yeah, that was Everett's. Okay, we'll end it right here. Like I said, if you appreciate my video series, I encourage you, or if you're inspired to do so, to donate or give a love gift. You can do so at paypal.me/EVERETT Pierce. Otherwise, so that will end it for that. And I appreciate your time. There's a lot of things going on. Here's another duly noted, is I have the green light of departure. Means I have completed all the tasks that I'm required to do under my obligations. So we are no longer under obligations. So essentially, if I say to energy, I say, I'm out of here, let's go. I want to go back to the seventh heaven. I can do that. So if I come up missing, or you don't hear from me, it's because I went back to the seventh heaven. The only way I would stay here if you people would have to come to me and say, Everett, please, for the love of God, don't go anywhere. We're just finally getting a wolf of this, and we love it. If that doesn't happen, I can think of 99% of other people out there that are begging to have a person like me show up at the doorstep. So I have to keep that in mind with people, that I'm not going to waste my time on people who are giving me collective feedback. They don't really care about what I'm bringing forth. They're not even listening to my videos. They're not even showing me their appreciation. So there are many things. So as it sits right now, that hasn't happened. So I would leave tomorrow. I'd go back to seventh heaven and just allow you guys to try to figure this out, in hopes that you don't go into an evolutionary reset of 4 billion years and then have to come back here again using the same video saying, here we are, fellows, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, with that, thank you for your time, and Godspeed.